Michael Sullivan, and this is the story of how I built something revolutionary, almost lost everything, and then watched justice unfold live in front of 50,000 viewers. 2 years ago, I founded Trust Chain Technologies with nothing but a laptop and an idea that could transform digital privacy forever. The concept was simple but powerful: a blockchain-based identity verification system that could make identity theft impossible while keeping personal data completely private. Most startups begin in garages. Mine started in a small coffee shop in Seattle, where I spent 18 months coding between shifts as a barista. Every spare dollar went into development. Every free moment was spent refining the algorithms that would become the foundation of SecurityID, our flagship product. The breakthrough came during a rainstorm at 3 a.m., when I finally solved the quantum encryption problem that had been haunting me for months. I remember calling my best friend and lead developer, Jenna, her voice groggy with sleep. "It works," I said, watching the successful test results scroll across my screen. "We can actually verify identity without exposing any personal data. Not even we can see it." "Holy shit," she whispered, suddenly wide awake. "We need to protect this now." She was right. I spent the next week documenting everything, timestamping each development milestone on multiple blockchain networks. It wasn't paranoia. In tech, your ideas are only yours if you can prove it. That's when Victor Stone entered the picture. Stone Ventures had a reputation for turning promising startups into billion-dollar companies. When Victor's office called requesting a meeting, it felt like winning the lottery. I spent 3 days preparing the pitch, making sure every detail was perfect. The meeting went better than I could have imagined. Victor immediately grasped the potential of SecurityID. "This could be bigger than anything in the digital identity space," he said, studying our prototype demo. "How much have you raised so far?" "Nothing," I admitted. "Been bootstrapping." He smiled, sliding a term sheet across the table. "Let's change that. 10 million, 25% equity stake. We'll take 2 board seats." The terms were fair, almost generous. I should have wondered why. For 6 months, everything was perfect. The investment allowed us to hire top talent, rent proper offices, and accelerate development. Victor became more than an investor. He was a mentor, guiding us through the complex world of Silicon Valley politics. "You're sitting on a gold mine, Mike," he'd say during our weekly meetings. "But timing is everything. We need to control the narrative." I didn't realize he meant that literally. The problem started when we prepared for beta testing. Victor insisted on using his development team for the final security audit. "Standard procedure," he'd assured me. "All our portfolio companies do it." But Jenna found something odd in the audit team's code commits. They weren't just reviewing. They were mapping our entire system architecture, documenting every component in unusual detail. "They're not auditing," she said, showing me the logs. "They're studying it, like they're planning to rebuild it from scratch." I confronted Victor during our next board meeting. His friendly mentor mask slipped for just a moment, revealing something cold underneath. "You're being paranoid, Mike," he said smoothly. "This is how professional companies operate. Unless you don't trust us." The threat was subtle but clear: cross us, and the funding stops. I backed off, but started taking precautions. Every night, I backed up our development logs to private blockchain nodes. Every code commit, every system change, every email, all encrypted and time-stamped where no one could alter them. Then came the day that revealed Victor's true plan. "We're restructuring the company," he'd announced during an emergency board meeting. The current leadership structure isn't optimal for our growth plans. The other board members, all Victor's people, nodded in agreement. Effective immediately, we're appointing a new CEO. Mike, you'll transition to a technical advisory role. Non-voting, of course. My own company, my own creation. They were taking it all. You can't do this. I started, but Victor cut me off. Actually, we can. Check your investment documents again. Carefully, this time. Hidden clauses, triggered by specific conditions that Victor had carefully orchestrated over the past 6 months. They hadn't just planned this. They'd been positioning for it since day one. Don't fight this, Mike, Victor said later in his office. You're a smart kid, but you're in our world now. If you try to challenge us, you'll never work in tech again. Take the advisory role. Golden handcuffs aren't so bad. I stood there, mind racing through options. They had the legal right to remove me. Victor had made sure of that. They had the connections to blacklist me if I fought back. They even had access to our entire code base. But they didn't have everything. Okay, I said quietly. You win. I'll send my resignation letter tonight. Victor smiled, already dismissing me from his mind. Smart choice. We'll announce the transition at next month's product launch. The live stream's already scheduled. Might as well make it a real show. As I walked out of his office, my phone buzzed. A message from Jenna. Tell me you have a plan. I did. Victor wanted to make the product launch a show. I'd give him one he'd never forget. What he didn't know was that Secure ID had a special feature, one that wasn't in any documentation. One that would activate the moment they tried to erase me from my own creation. In exactly 30 days, during their elaborate live stream launch, they would learn why you should never trust a blockchain developer who smiles while being fired. The first thing Victor did after forcing me out was assign his team to audit all of Secure ID's code. I watched through my private access nodes as they combed through every line, methodically documenting my work while trying to understand its core architecture. They're making changes, Jenna reported via our encrypted channel. She kept her position as lead developer, becoming our eyes and side, trying to remove your digital fingerprints from the codebase. I smiled, watching their commits appear in my monitoring system. Let them. Each change only makes the proof stronger. What Victor and his team didn't understand was the true nature of blockchain technology. You can't just erase history. Every change, every modification creates an immutable record. And I had built something far more sophisticated than simple transaction logs. From my new home office, a rented workspace paid for in crypto to avoid detection, I monitored their progress. 3 separate screens displayed different aspects of my counter strategy. Screen 1. The official Trust Chain repository, where Victor's team worked to modify Secure ID. Screen 2. My private blockchain nodes, recording every change they made. Screen 3. The real system, the one they hadn't found. They've scheduled a major press event, Jenna messaged. Victor's going all out. Live stream, tech journalists, even some government officials interested in digital identity protection. Perfect. The bigger the audience, the better. 2 weeks after my resignation, Victor's team made their first major mistake. They tried to modify the core verification protocol, not realizing it was just a front end for the actual system. Getting error messages, Jenna reported. Their changes aren't propagating correctly through the blockchain. Of course they weren't. The real verification system was distributed across thousands of nodes, each containing fragments of my original code. Every attempt to centralize control only strengthened its decentralized nature. Then came an unexpected ally. Maria from the legal team reached out to a secure channel. "I've been documenting everything," she wrote. "The hidden clauses, the orchestrated violations, the planned takeover. It's all timestamped and stored offline." I thanked her but warned her to stay quiet. Victory would require perfect timing. 3 weeks in, Victor started getting nervous. The launch date was approaching, but security wasn't behaving as expected. Small glitches appeared in testing, nothing major, but enough to worry someone claiming to have built the system. "Mike," his email read, "perhaps we were hasty. Would you consider a consulting role? Your technical insights could be valuable." I didn't respond. A few days later, another email arrived offering a generous compensation package in exchange for my help preparing for the launch. The desperation was showing. They couldn't understand why parts of the system remained opaque to them. "They're working weekends now," Jenna reported. "Victor's getting paranoid. Keeps talking about unexpected behaviors in the verification protocols. He should be worried. Every change they made to try controlling the system only increased its autonomy. Like antibodies recognizing an invasion, the blockchain was learning, adapting, preparing for the moment of revelation." 1 week before the launch, I received an urgent message from David, our former head of cybersecurity, who'd quit in protest after my removal. "You need to see this," he wrote, attaching internal emails. "They're planning to announce a revolutionary breakthrough in blockchain security, taking full credit for your quantum encryption protocols." I checked my countdown timer. 7 days until the live stream. 7 days until SecurID showed everyone its true capabilities. The final week was tense. Victor's team worked around the clock, trying to patch irregularities they'd created with their modifications. Each fix only made things worse, though they didn't understand why. The rehearsal was a disaster. Jenna reported 2 days before launch. Random identity verification failures. System kept referencing original protocols that can't find. Victor made one final attempt to reach me, this time through my old mentor from NIT. "Whatever you're planning, it's not worth destroying your career over. Take the settlement. Walk away." I sent a simple reply, looking forward to the live stream. The night before the launch, I checked my systems one last time. Everything was in place. Blockchain nodes, primed and synchronized. Proof of ownership, distributed and verified. Original development logs, timestamped and immutable. Victor's team's modifications, all documented and traced. "You sure about this?" Jenna messaged. "Once it starts, no stopping it." I finished. But that's the point of blockchain, isn't it? Immutable truth. I went to bed that night feeling strangely peaceful. Tomorrow, in front of thousands of live viewers and every major tech journalist, Victor Stone would learn the true meaning of decentralized control. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from Maria in legal. All evidence secured and backed up. Tomorrow will be interesting. Indeed it would. Victor wanted to make the product launch a show. He had no idea he'd be starring in a demonstration of blockchain's real power, the power to make truth unstoppable. The morning of the live stream, TrustChain's homepage already showed over 40,000 people waiting for the event. Victor had marketed it perfectly. The future of digital identity was trending on every tech platform. I watched from my workspace as the stream began. Victor took the stage in a black turtleneck, clearly channeling his inner Steve Jobs. The camera work was professional, the staging immaculate. Behind him, massive screens displayed SecureID's interface. Today, Victor began, we revolutionized digital security forever. I checked my monitors. The blockchain nodes were synchronized, verification protocols running exactly as designed. Everything was ready. For too long, Victor continued, we've accepted the compromise between security and privacy. Today, Trust Chain Technologies ends that compromise. The irony of him talking about trust wasn't lost on the thousands watching. Soon, they'd understand just how much. Let me demonstrate, Victor said, moving to a terminal. We've developed a quantum encryption system that makes identity theft impossible. I watched the viewer count climb past 50,000. Perfect timing. The first sign that something was wrong came when Victor tried to initiate the demonstration. The system responded differently than in rehearsal. Verifying system integrity, SecureID announced, its AI voice echoing through the auditorium, detecting unauthorized modifications to core protocols. Victor's smile flickered. This wasn't part of the script. Initiating blockchain verification sequence, the system continued. Analyzing ownership records. The massive screens behind Victor shifted, displaying a real-time blockchain explorer. Thousands of nodes lit up, each containing fragments of SecureID's true history. What you're witnessing, the AI explained to the stunned audience, is a demonstration of immutable proof of ownership and development history. Victor tried to interrupt, but his terminal access was already locked. On screen, the blockchain explorer showed transaction after transaction, each timestamped and verified. Original concept documentation, development milestones, code commits, even Victor's emails planning the takeover. Quantum encryption breakthrough attributed to Victor Stone, the AI announced. Verifying claim invalidated. Displaying original development records, the screens filled with my early work, time-stamped proofs from 18 months before I had ever met Victor, showing the evolution of the encryption protocol. System detecting attempted unauthorized transfer of intellectual property rights, the AI continued, initiating truth verification protocols. That's when the real show began. Every screen in the auditorium started displaying evidence, the hidden contract clauses, the orchestrated violations, the carefully planned theft of my company, all preserved immutably on the blockchain, impossible to deny or erase. This is a malfunction, Victor tried, his voice strained. A disgruntled ex-employee's sabotage. Incorrect, the AI interrupted. This is SecureID functioning exactly as designed, protecting digital identity and ownership through immutable proof. The viewer count had passed 60,000. In the comment stream, tech journalists were already posting about the unprecedented live exposure of corporate theft. Displaying development team structure, the AI announced. The screens showed an organizational chart revealing how Victor's team had been mapping and trying to replicate SecureID's architecture. Would you like to see their attempts to modify the core protocols? The AI asked pleasantly. The screens filled with side-by-side comparisons. My original, elegant code versus their clumsy attempts to claim it. That's when I made my entrance. Walking onto the stage, I took position at a second terminal. Perhaps I can help explain, I said, my voice carrying through the auditorium speakers. You see, SecureID isn't just a security system. It's a demonstration of blockchain's true power, the power to make truth immutable. The audience was silent, cameras swinging between Victor's paling face and my calm demeanor. Every change your team made, I continued, typing commands that displayed more evidence. Every attempt to erase my work only strengthened the proof of original ownership. That's the beauty of blockchain. You can't change history without leaving evidence. This is illegal, Victor sputtered. You'll never work in tech again? I finished. Actually, according to these ownership records, verified across thousands of nodes, I still own 51% of TrustChain's intellectual property. Your attempted hostile takeover triggered an automatic blockchain-based reversion of rights. On screen, legal documents appeared showing exactly that. Maria from legal had done her work well. Ladies and gentlemen, I addressed the now massive online audience. You came to see a demonstration of unbreakable digital identity protection. Instead, you witnessed something more valuable, proof that in the blockchain era, truth cannot be stolen, erased, or controlled by anyone. The next hours were a blur. Victor was escorted out by security. The board convened an emergency session. By evening, major tech news outlets were running stories about how blockchain technology had exposed and prevented corporate theft in real time. 1 year later, TrustChain is thriving under my leadership. Secure ID has become the industry standard for digital identity protection, trusted because we proved its integrity in the most dramatic way possible. Victor? He's facing SEC investigations and multiple lawsuits. Turns out we weren't the first startup he tried to steal, just the first with immutable proof. Sometimes late at night, working on new protocols, I think about that live stream. About Victor's face when he realized what was happening. He thought he was stealing a security system. But what he really did was trigger the most sophisticated truth verification protocol ever created. The irony? If he'd been honest, I would have happily collaborated with him. But he chose deception, forgetting the fundamental nature of blockchain. In a decentralized world, truth will always find its way to the surface. These days, whenever I speak at tech conferences, someone always asks about that live stream. They want to know if I planned it all along. I just smile and tell them what I've learned. In the age of blockchain, the best